Alright, so new desk, new spring break challenge, this time focusing entirely on animes. Where to start with this one? I know, let's do it with one of my favorite films ever made. Paprika. Now, the story of Paprika focuses on a group of psychotherapists in the near future revolving around this new invention called the DC Minis, which allow you to share a person's dream with somebody else. Unfortunately, there's a group of people that steal the DC Mini in an attempt to control other people's dreams and use them for their own nefarious purposes. And right before I recorded this review, I looked at the film again and I tried to be a little bit more analytical, but now, for those of you who might not be aware of this, Paprika came from the late director Satoshi Kon, a director who I consider to be immensely brilliant, behind such pictures as Perfect Blue and Tokyo Godfathers, and also Paranoia Agent. And this is the first film I ever saw from him, and it was directed to me and shown to me by my Italian teacher, who is also very much into anime, and this is the first film that she recommended. And I gotta tell you, the effect of Paprika, its visual beauty, its soundtrack, its premise, the way it was executed, as flawless as I remember it being, and it is one of my favorite films of all time for a few different reasons. And it can actually be condensed a lot easier than a lot of other movies where I have to break it down into separate categories. Two things that are a part of its presentation that really sell it are, one, its visuals, and two, its soundtrack. The sheer level of imagination and the visual presentation of this film is astounding. It is absolutely gorgeous to look at. Every time when I look at this movie, I am just in awe and just wonderment of how beautiful the entire thing looks, especially the parade sequence. It's so vibrant and colorful. There's little bits and pieces you see animation detail-wise of seeing like, oh wait, there's might be something in the background going that you might not notice before, or there's some little piece that you don't really notice the first time because there's so much going on screen and the nature of dreams allowing it to be random. You can throw anything at the audience, and the fact that it's a dream, it just throws them through a loop, and it's still beautiful to look at. The scoring is beyond wonderful. It fills you with such joy and such enthusiasm for dreams and the wonder that they can hold. This is a perfect soundtrack to listen to whenever you want to feel a little upbeat, when you want to feel a little bit of energy, just feeling good about life, or if you just want to perfectly relax and have something to fall asleep to. It is a wonderful soundtrack that I would recommend to anybody to listen to. Now, one thing that a person could argue with me about this film is the idea that I like to point out consistencies a lot. And if something is inconsistent, I call them out on it, because if a movie cannot be consistent with its own rules, or even a series for that matter can't be consistent with its own rules, then that should be something objectively wrong. And to their credit, that is something that I have remarked on in the past, and that would be correct. However, the very subject nature of dreams and the random chaotic nature that they innately possess means that anything could happen within the dream world, and you could get away with it. There's no such thing as jumping the shark within a dream in some cases, because there is no shark to jump. In fact, in some cases it's a mountain, or even a galaxy, or hell, a pink tiger or something like that. And each of that would be equally logical within the confines of the random chaotic dream nature. One thing that the film continuously surprises me on, in terms of its presentation and its storyline specifically, is how it's able to integrate smaller themes within the much bigger theme of the dream world, such as the themes of repression and guilt and regret in your own memories, or in repression of your own feelings for someone. Now, I won't explain how that is conveyed throughout this story, but it is actually very well done and presented, and it doesn't detract too much from the overall theme of the dream sharing and the overall incident that is portrayed throughout the entire film, which continually escalates throughout the picture. And even such smaller themes, such as the recklessness of certain characters, is also presented as a theme, knowing the fact that they are sometimes charging headlong into this project or into danger without even considering the consequences or the problems that might be presented through something like what they do. But that is also giving a sense of what their character is like. But a smaller thing that results from that is allowing the idea of taking responsibility for your own actions is also presented. It's very, very small, but it is present. Now, I'm going to step out of the review just a little bit and just talk about a simple problem or a simple debate that a lot of people seem to bring up. And honestly, I find it to be a little bit pointless. And here's why. A lot of people seem to compare the idea of Inception versus Paprika in terms of debating which one film is better. Basically, Inception ripped off Paprika and so on. Honestly, the way I put these two films together as the perfect polar opposites of each other. They take the same basic idea of dream sharing, but they take it in two completely different directions. Where Inception has a rule system, it has a logic, it has a way of implying logic in a very random, chaotic world, in something that you have control over, in something that you may not have total control over, but you have some idea of manipulating and having influence over your environment. Whereas Paprika is completely chaotic, completely random, and emphasizes more of what a dream is actually like, or could be, in terms of our own dreams and what we've experienced before. Some of us may have better control over our dreams than others. I myself have had similar experiences in both worlds, but both are equally good, have the same concept revolving around them, and are treated as equal but opposites of each other. At least that's my own personal take on it. If you have a different one, that's perfectly fine. As I said before, this is one of my favorite films ever made. I absolutely adore everything Paprika. The soundtrack is beyond beautiful to listen to in almost any scenario, just to feel a little bit better about yourself, as well as feeling relaxed and at peace with yourself. The visual beauty is an absolute masterclass of its craft, and I absolutely adore every single bit of it. The characters and the story are all equally well portrayed, and it allows themselves to having multiple layers of themes, as well as the idea that dreams and reality could mesh together, and in some cases the dreams can become reality if they are well done enough, and that both of them, in a sense that the dreams and the reality become much more blurred than what we were originally thinking, and some people like to put those two into separate categories, but if we really think about it, there are a lot of people who may have dreams, but they can actually make them reality. I mean, think of anyone who does what they want to do creatively. I mean, you could say that they are dreamers in their own sense, but they are able to make their dreams a reality. So that is something that is also an uplifting message about the film, that your dreams can become reality, but it's also our responsibility to know when to execute them and to use it for the benefit of other people, rather than our own nefarious purposes, and for using them for selfish intentions. I haven't given this rating on quite a while, and it honestly feels good to give it again. But as one of my favorite films of all time, and the sheer brilliance of Satoshi Kon's last work before he died, I have to say that Paprika is so good, it's worth buying twice. So there you go, folks. That is my review of Paprika. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you want me to talk about other Satoshi Kon works, such as Perfect Blue, Tokyo Godfathers, or Paranoia Agent, please comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about them, as well as if you want me to do a review for them, please, I'd be more than happy to do one if I'm able to get a copy of one of those, because I do have Perfect Blue, but I don't have Tokyo Godfathers or, what was it? Oh yeah, Paranoia Agent. I think there was one other film of his that I can't remember what the name of is right now, but I'm blanking out on it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for tomorrow where I have my next review, and I'm not going to tell exactly what this review is, but in order for me to go grab it, I think I'm going to need to go to Neo Tokyo for this one. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, so until next time, I'm Perry the One-Armed Legend, and I'll see you later.